And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the ToolBelt, episode 269. I am your host, Ty Cobb Backer. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned. We will be back right after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
Welcome to Behind the Tool Belt, where the stories are bold, the conversations are real, and the insights come to you live, raw, and uncut. Every week, host Ty Cobb Backer sits down with game changers, trailblazers, and industry leaders who aren't afraid to tell it like it is. No filters, no scripts, just the truth. Please welcome your host of Behind the Tool Belt, Ty Cobb Backer.
All right, and we are back and we are live in the studio with my friend Stephen Spence. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again on this awesome Wednesday edition of Behind the Tool Belt, episode 269. We're almost at that 270 mark. Man, I could swear it's like Groundhog Day, week after week after week after week. I swear 5 weeks in a row, it's like, how is it not 270 already? But having said that, we have recently celebrating our 5th anniversary of Behind the Tool Belt. This started January 23rd of 2020. Oh shoot, my Siri was blowing up in
me sometimes, just so you know.
Yeah. So, but we're super pumped about that, and of course, I'm super pumped to have one of my closest friends. I can honestly say that. We don't speak as much as I would like to on a regular or weekly basis, but anytime that we do speak, it's like we pick right up where we left off, how we're doing, how's the family, all that good stuff. And I know that you always got my back, Steve. So welcome to the studio, Behind the Tool Belt studio. And how the hell you doing, buddy?
Tired, but I'm really good. I'll see you Tuesday. I'm going to come up. I mean, I think that's what we discussed the other day. So kick back, talk a little lead scout, talk a little TC Backer, talk a little Project MapIt. I am sporting my swag, just so you know. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, everybody, I see people all the time. I understand why people do it, but I see people talking about branding. I will never wear another brand. It's only going to be my brand, and that's it. Fuck that, man. I love wearing your brand. Honestly.
Yeah, same.
I don't care. Same. But I respect what people say when they say that.
Yeah, I do too. I get that, but I also appreciate supporting your friends' businesses as well. So I definitely wear your t-shirt, your red t-shirt. That's a heathered red.
Yep.
And it's kind of resembles like an old school print on the front of it. It's kind of washed out. Nice. It's my favorite freaking shirt. I wear it just about every other day when I work out. Like you wear, some of our swag at the gym too. When you work out, but it is like my favorite shirt. I feel it. I can't remember the brand of it. It's not Next Level. It's something else, but it is just, if not better than Next Level, because that's why I intentionally wear it when I work out, because it fits me the way that I want it to fit.
Yeah.
It's never shrunk. And I can move it's stretchy, flexible, and it's just, I love it. And then your Nike shirt that you gave me too is probably one of my other favorite shirts. Every time I travel, I take that with me everywhere I go.
I don't
Just so
like
you
that one. And that one, that's a t-shirt, right? Like a performance shirt.
Yeah, it's like a performance shirt, like a wicking.
I'm not a huge sweater or smelly person, but whenever I wear that shirt, man, I smell like ass. So I just
Oh,
stop.
really?
Yeah, I don't wear that
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I take it with me for either to work out in, but it be just because it's a wicking type of shirt. So everywhere, I don't care if it's a revolt retreat or we're traveling for lead scout or beyond the tool belt, I take it to every show. So
I know I text you this every so often. I'm a creature of habit. This hat probably smells pretty badly and it's dirty inside because when I go to the gym, I do not wear, this is the hat I wear every time for you gave me this hat, 4 years ago? I mean,
probably.
I've worn this hat hundreds of times at the gym. So,
That's good. That's good. I appreciate that.
hell
I
yeah.
appreciate that. And what's cool about it probably has sentimental value when I gave it to you. We probably don't remember why or where we were at, but you still hold on to it because of that moment. And that was probably one of the first runs of our rebrand too, because if it was about 4 years ago, we went through like a couple little rebrand transitions there where even for a minute, we started to put something on, logo and stuff like that on stuff. And then I had changed my mind. It was TC Backer Roofing. And that was a part of the logo in the name because the name is the logo. That's the thing I tried to explain to any design graphic art person that they don't get that. Like literally the name is the logo that just has a resemblance of a peaked roof on the very top. So we had taken roofing out, even though we never had it in there before. It's always been TC Backer Construction. And there was a couple things that rolled out that had roofing on the end, but long story short, that was one of the first runs of our new brand.
So when I met you the very, very first time, so the very first time we met, where did we meet? Do you remember?
SRC.
No. Was it S? No.
In Denton, I thought,
That's the first time we hung.
Yes.
We met at your podcast, at your office the first time. That's the first time I think we ever met, isn't it?
I think you're right. Where you came up here to get on. Yeah.
And
We
so
were, yes. We were there. Yes.
Yeah. And I got here early. I got to your place early.
Mm-hmm.
And the first I met was this ugly dude named Vic, this god awful, good looking dude named Vic, who's on the back end right now. I know you're probably sticking your middle finger up at me, Vic. And Vic gave me this hat. And this is the first swag I ever got from TC Backer, this hat. So I never even thought about it this way. I think you're right. I think probably it has subconsciously become like this sentimental swag apparel that I wear literally every time. And when I work out, I feel good, right? Because I'm a stress pot. All I do is work and be with my family. I try to be intentional there, but working out helps relieve some stress. And this is my hat. This is my go-to.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. That's probably a good segue into a great conversation of, work, and I'm listening to a book right now and reading it. It's called The One. And there's a workbook with it, and then there's a daily planner with it. I sit on with Erico, the culture movement. He has a bi-weekly call, and I sit in on it. And right now he's got the team or the men that he coaches reading the book, The One. So of course I want to stay caught up. So that way, when I do check in with those guys, I'm at least in a good spot. And I don't remember the author. And unfortunately, I'm cramming it in before next. I'm trying to actually finish the book before next Tuesday's call. And so I'm going to have to probably re-listen to it again and then pull the book up and then kind of highlight and study some things in it. But the one thing that he had mentioned in the book is that there is no such thing as work-life balance.
Yeah.
Whatever you pay attention to, something else will suffer, right? Or be lacked. Like, you know what I mean? So if I'm trying to be super intentional with my family, that means probably something at work is falling behind. If I'm trying to play catch up at work and I'm super intentional about being at work, I'm probably slacking on, family, personal time and stuff like that. And I like how he put it. He said, so when you're at work, finish your job and work. And
Yeah.
when it's time to play, play.
So I
And
told you this on another podcast. I used to put my phone away at night. So I would just be intentional with my wife. We would hang out in the sunroom, watch TV, hang out, talk about each other's day and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I did a really good job to the point where I'd actually put a notice on my phone. So if someone texted me, it would say, you know, I'm hanging out with the family. I hope you understand that. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Gotta be honest with you, man. Lately, I've not done a good job on that. And I need to get back to that. Like I'm feeling the stress. I'm feeling the stress. I know I am. I can feel it. So I just need to be more intentional that way, to be honest
yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah. You know, it is super hard. And he also mentions that you will drive yourself nuts trying to seek balance. So
Yeah.
I think for us high performing, hard driving, want to get and perfect everything. We're perfectionists, right? Like we want to have the perfect family time lifestyle, and we also want to do and perform as best as we possibly can at work. I think the important thing to get from this is to just find that balance that
Yeah.
that we feel okay with, whether it's like Rocket. I try to do my damnedest to spend time with Rocket in the morning. Now that he has to get up early, last couple of years he's got to get up for a 16-year-old kid, I think super early to catch the bus at 6:15 in the morning and then be on the bus for an hour and a half. So I'm not already gone for 2 hours. I intentionally come in later to work now.
Yeah.
Of course, Jana is up, already up. So I have that intentional time, whether it's, sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 25 minutes. It depends on, the rotation in the shower, in the bathroom, and letting the dogs out and stuff like that. Is really hinges upon how much time we get to, if he's running late, then he's out the door. If I'm, running late because I got in the shower after everybody else was in the shower, because that's typically what I try to do, is just wait, even though he's got his own bathroom, the water pressure's wonky and it's either super hot or it's super cold. So I intentionally just wait till after he's done with the shower. So if he's running late, then that automatically throws me into being late, or later than I would want to. But then sometimes I won't even take a shower till after he leaves, so I can get that intentional time with him in the mornings. And it's really just like, hey, what are you working on in school? It's the same questions every morning, but I am truly interested in what he's working on, because he goes to Votech and he's in the building trades portion of it. So of course I'm very interested in what he's doing. And I had a conversation with his school teacher at our recent home show that we did last week. They set up a big, huge display. They build sheds, they sell them and stuff. The Votech Rockets class builds these, sheds, and they sell them. And before the show started, his teacher came over to me and wanted me to know, mind you, Rocket's a sophomore. He's got 2 more years left. And he's like, Rocket is my best student, the best student I've ever had. And literally this man had me choked up, and he was like, but I want to tell you something. I said, okay, what is it? He said, I push him. I challenge him. And I'm like, please challenge him. Like because he would get bored if he didn't, because he is so smart. He's literally, and no pun intended, but he could be a rocket scientist. He could be a doctor. He could be a lawyer. Like he's that smart, not just engineer smart, but like he's so smart and can do whatever he wants. And I'm not just saying that because he's my kid. Like he's intimidatingly intelligent. When you speak to him, he's just so smart. The words he uses, he retains everything and is just a sponge.
So if I can brag about my 2 kids, I think that's awesome that Rocket's doing so well. And I think that it's awesome that he's doing well in a trade school, right? Like at the end of the day, I think people, I don't know, I'm curious what you think. I think people are starting to understand, like, college isn't the end all be all. It's not, right? So Project MapIt, we brought Grayson Listman to your office. He's a 10th grader. My son's a 10th grader, like Rocket. And you guys were mentors to Grayson, sat with him for like an hour and a half, hour. You brought your marketing team in. Vic gave some good advice. John gave some good advice. Like, that's what it's about. Like, this kid, he could probably go on and make 6 figures. It took me 20 years to come close to that as a teacher, since I was a teacher. And I would argue that teacher should challenge all his students, not just Rocket, which I'm sure he does. He's a good teacher.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think the trades are a great way to go. But my kids, they're two different types of kids. My kid is super nice. Like you ask anybody in our community, hey, Steve, Eli is literally the only, like, he is the nicest kid. He's one of the few, if the only kid that walks by and says, hey, Mr. Matt, how are things going today? Like, how are you doing? Like, he engages, right? Like, he's got that personality, sort of like I do, where it just he's so good to people, right? Because he's genuinely a good guy. And then, but he's equally smart, right? Like, he's a very smart kid, but he, like, in honors classes and all that. And then you got my daughter, who's more like my wife, who's super smart, sounds like a rocket, like, type of atmosphere, where she does get bored in school because she's gotten straight A's her whole life. She's in 8th grade. But dude, Ty, I was in a car driving back from swimming the other day, and she's like, she's wanted to be a lawyer for the last 2 years, since like 6th grade. Like, go figure. 6th grader. And she's like, yeah, I was on ChatGPT, checking out like great colleges to become a lawyer and what you have to do to become a lawyer, but colleges near beaches. I found like UC Santa Barbara and all these other schools. She's like, I don't mind like going to school, across the United States. I'm okay. Like, I'll meet new friends. Like, it's just amazing, like, kids these days. And like, my kids are opposite in that respect, in that, like, Eli, I think he'll want to go to a Division III school, maybe play lacrosse, maybe not, but like be in a smaller setting, where Dia's like, I'll be in a big school near a beach and I'll become a lawyer. Okay. And she's in 8th grade, studied already. Anyway, we have great kids. I think that's what we've learned from this.
Yeah. And when you were talking, I thought it's because you're such a great parent, and with your background of being, a school teacher, you can read kids and encourage them. And it's encouraging to know that your kids are that optimistic and what's the word I'm looking for? Not afraid to step outside her comfort zone, right? She's like, I want to go to a big school and I want to become a lawyer. It has ambition. Okay. That was the word I was looking for.
That is a good word.
Yeah. Ambition to do big things like that. Right. And that is a mere reflection of you and your wife. And with, like you said, with Eli, right, that outgoing, outspoken, hey, Mr. Thomas, how's it going? That is also a mere reflection of you too, which also shows emotional intelligence, which tells me both of your children are very
emotionally intelligent. That's more my wife. I'm not very emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I mean? But that's great. You guys are doing a good job. And sometimes I think when we're stuck in the shit, right. And because before we got on here, you're talking about, there's anxieties, there's pressures, you got family, you got work-life balance, you got work, you got employees, you got, co-leaders, members, all that stuff. Yeah. Right. And I jotted down some questions, which I usually don't do that, but I know we can get pretty deep with each other and vulnerable and stuff. And it's funny that our conversation was a lot like the questions I have for you. And really they're just softball questions. And the first one that I wrote down was, what do you think some of the hardest decisions you have to make on a day-to-day basis? And it can be personal stuff, work life, because it's all one sometimes.
Yeah. So say it again. What are my priorities?
What are your hardest decisions you have to make on a day-to-day basis? So like when you show up to work, and it may not even be day-to-day, but like on a weekly thing, there's like hard decisions that you have to make, as an entrepreneur, as a father, right? Like, and what would you say is the hardest one on a week-to-week basis?
Work is getting real busy, right? Like, it's becoming, we're hitting that stress test as you start to exponentially grow. And we're finally starting to see the fruits of all of our employees' hard work. Ashley, Perla, Pat, Maddie, Marcos, they all work their asses off, do a good job. But we're starting to get lots of leads, right? Like, we have some good relationships with ABC, SRS, Certainty for sure. We're an exclusive partner with them. And so it's like, I guess on a weekly basis, it's how to improve our processes. Like two different three, but sales were pretty locked in. That process is pretty good. But when we onboard people, the goal, right? You're working with Lead Scout in a big way now with you and Chris. And by the way, me and Chris shared a couple leads for each other. So that's good. So we're working together. But the process is on onboarding a customer, right? We're a pretty easy system to use, but there's certain things that require it. A customer for Project MapIt can't just come in and flip a switch and now they're using Project MapIt. It's almost that easy, but we're not quite there yet. So it's trying to evolve our process where we can get 50 leads from SRS or ABC or Certainty, and we'll be able to handle those leads. So processes on the onboarding side is a big one that we talk about on a weekly basis, how to train our customers, because we always want to provide good customer service. So that's the biggest thing we're trying to do right now. How can we scale with as few employees as possible by still maximizing perfect and great customer service for our customers? Like that's the goal. And on the personal side, it's tough. I think for me, my biggest challenge is handling my stress, to be totally honest with you. Like I see a therapist every other week. I'm not afraid to examine myself and to put that out there to everybody. I think therapy is really good for me, at least. And like I internalize stress a lot. And sometimes when I internalize it, which I do all the time, and something triggers me and pisses me off, I sometimes don't handle it the best way I should. My messaging might come across poorly, whether that's to my family members or my employees. So it's something I'm on a daily basis trying to get better at, to be honest with you. So yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, the difficult decisions on how to handle the current stress that's related to the scaling of our company as it's growing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that's the vision for the company, especially when you work in the company as hard as you do. And I know you bust your ass. Like I've seen it firsthand and witnessed it, you know, and, you know, the vision, you know, for me, you know, is also trying to stay true to the vision of the company and making financial decisions and when to hire people, when to fire people, because I'm guilty of, you know, leaving people around too long. And I've gotten better about, you know, the vetting process so that, you know, we're hiring better quality people. But coming up with that process to be able to do that, because being the visionary of the company, you know, and living up to that standard and personal development, right? Like, so what my mantra has been, or my goal has been, is trying to be the best CEO possible for, you know, the revenue that we are. And I don't want to mention the revenue necessarily, but like I knew where we were last year and I know where we're going this year. So have I conditioned myself? Have I trained myself? Do I have the right tools, resources to be that kind of CEO?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get stressed out and overwhelmed over things like that. Like I'm not doing enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the right people around me. I haven't got vulnerable enough. I haven't been transparent enough. And if I would have just opened up sooner, they'd help me with it. Like all these crazy neurotic things that go through my mind on a day-to-day basis. And it becomes harder and harder. The harder I am on myself, the harder it is to make clear, decisive decisions.
Yeah.
You know, at time. And then I start beating myself up because I'm spending so much time at work. Or even when I'm at home, I'm still at work. Yeah, you know, and learning how to shut that off. And then I get even more overwhelmed because I notice she knows that I'm thinking about work because they know us. They know us so well. You know what I mean? So it's like this crazy vicious cycle, you know, that we go through. So speaking of vision, like, so I was going to ask you what the vision of Project MapIt was, but let's go past that. And, I want to ask you a question about clarity. Like, when do you find you have the best clarity for making decisions, the vision for the future of Project MapIt? Is it first thing in the morning while you're still at home before you get to work, at the gym, hanging out with your family, or on weekends? Like, have you found that where you know what I mean? Like when you've removed yourself, you need that time to you know, clear some things up, gain clarity, make better decisions.
So the answer is yes, all of those times.
All of it,
but
right.
No, I do have my best clarity in the morning when no one can bother me. So I was up at 1 a.m. this morning, right? And I've literally put in aside from making breakfast and lunch and dinner I have a tenderloin in the slow cooker right now. So that was about an hour. And then I took a shower for about 15 minutes, whatever that was. I've literally been working for the last 11 and a half hours minus about an hour, right? Already. And people I've not even put in a half a day. But from 1 to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I got a lot done. And, you know, we have some premier partners that we like to promote, and we're trying to do a better job promoting them to help with lead sources on going both ways. And so I did some stuff there. So long story short, it is definitely in the morning. I know my employees aren't starting working until, you know, Pat, sometimes 7, 8 o'clock. Pearl Ashley, not till 10. So I don't start getting Slack messages and stuff for my team until, you know, 8, 9, 10. So if I can get an hour or 2 or 3 hours in, you know, around 4 o'clock, my wife, so Ty, you were talking about, you know, the wives know. My wife, I guess her kind of rule is, if I'm going to get up early, it needs to be at least 4:30 or later. Like if I get up at 3:30, she does not like that. She knows I'm stressed out, and she knows I'm going to be I'm not going to be like a good Steve Spence, like a premier husband. I'll be kind of like a C+ husband. So, you know, sometimes I wake up at 3, Ty, and I look at the clock and I'm like, damn, I'm going to try to go back to sleep for another hour and a half. And then once that 4:30 hits, I'm like, I'm up, I'm in the office right here, I'm working.
Yeah.
What about you? When is your best time?
Yeah, you know, and that's I'm asking personal questions, like personal for you and for me, because I where I find things out a lot of times is by the questions that I ask our guests that come on the show. And with us being as close as we are, I knew you wouldn't have an issue with me asking you these questions or even sharing my experience. But you know, Joseph Hughes posted something, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, like something along the lines of like, you need to have that shut off time. Right. And, you know, I'm from the hustle grind culture. It is what it is, right, wrong, or indifferent. I believe you got to hustle your ass off. That's just, if no one's going to give it to you, no one's coming to save us. And I was just telling Jana that the other day. And sometimes you just got to push all the chips in. And unfortunately, Jan has always been my ride or die. She knows, and she's helped compliment me well over the years of pulling me away from the edge. You know, like, you're getting a little too close to the edge of your time. And so when I can shut things off, and I just got to experience it this past weekend. So, and basically all I did was had an atmospheric change where we have a location on the Eastern Shore, and Jan and I took a quick trip down there Thursday evening, and I went and did my Thursday meetings. I had my Friday Zoom calls. I did all that stuff, but just by me atmospherically changing, right, geographically changing, where I was, I could just, I don't know, like the pressure was off, or like my meetings were better, my creativity, my flow, my everything was better. And a lot of it plays into like where we were on the Eastern Shore, like we're on the Eastern Shore, right? But I mean, I could be, so I experience it when I remove myself from like that every single day, 4:30 in the same office. It just becomes so redundant, and it creates where I can't see the forest through the trees. Like the hedges are right here and I just can't see. But sometimes, like when I go to a different, it could be in my truck and going for a drive and doing a Zoom call, right? Like I just feel like the juices start to flow. Sunday mornings, I love Sunday mornings being at home. So when I travel, I try to be home for the weekends. I know it's all virtually impossible to do that, but I know if I have things coming up that following week, to help me ease some of that pain is to be at home at my house Sunday mornings, and I will write the best notes. I will have the clearest vision because, again, the pressure's off. I'm at home. I'm in my safe place, my sanctuary, and I kind of get up at my own pace. I drink a cup of coffee. I'll go into my office. I got a home office. And man, I can just jam out because after that, I know I'm going to work out. And even when I'm working out, I'm still jamming out. I'm still flowing, right? There's no distractions. There's no interruptions outside of the flow that I have set up for myself. And Janet is totally cool with it. She's just happy that I'm home fortunately. You know what I mean? So if I spend an hour or two in the office and I'm flowing, and I know when it's time to kind of, before it gets too late, I don't want to go into the gym until, you know what I mean? I don't want to get there at like 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, because I also by 1 o'clock I want to start winding down. Like that's my process. Like I want to start winding down because I've already prepared myself for the rest of the week. And I find that if I prepare myself well on Sundays for the whole week, I have my meetings all scheduled out. I'm preparing my notes, because I try to give myself at least 15 minutes before, every meeting to prepare myself, but in hopes that I've already somewhat jotted some notes down, preparing myself for that meeting. So it only takes about 15 minutes to get my head rewrapped around it. I've gotten better on stacking my meetings. So all my lead scout meetings that I have are usually stacked, right? Like if we're meeting with Eagle View, if I have a meeting with Chris, I try to stack them. With the engineering team, Chris and I meet before that an hour. We review the product. Right after that, we roll right into a meeting with the engineers. And then after that might be some TC Backer stacked meetings that I have. So by me preparing my schedule better and not having other people dictate my schedule. Okay. And I know this is kind of off topic, but how I've been able to get myself prepared in those moments and carving out time to prepare myself. Right. So it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. So if I have an hour meeting, I at least give myself 15 minutes before that hour meeting based on the importance and severity of that meeting. It could be an hour that I need to prepare myself for an hour meeting. Right. So I've come up with like the 4-to-1 ratio. So if it's just a run of the mill weekly meeting, I give myself 15 minutes. Plus, I try to prepare myself and jot notes down, knowing that meeting's coming up next week. But in the gym, and when I'm hanging out with Rocket and I both learned how to play golf this past year. Actually got back. I stopped golfing over a decade ago because of my family, but now I'm allowed to start golfing again because of my family. So I'm basically relearning how to play golf again. And that has taken our relationship to a whole nother level. Okay. And I got to express my thinking and
during golf.
Yes. How much life experience and lessons are learned on a golf course, right? Like where sometimes you get a mulligan and sometimes you got to take a stroke, the metaphor, like you just got to keep driving, right? You just got to keep chipping. And sometimes you get an extra stroke. Sometimes you don't get an extra stroke. But anyhow, so I find when I'm like with Rocket hanging out, I also feel in those times, even though I am present, I am where my feet are, but I feel more creative because I've removed myself and have devoted my attention to him. I get to gain clarity, especially if something's bothering me or I need to be decisive and I need to have an answer or vision for the company. I tend to find them more often when I am where my feet are with my family. And it doesn't matter if it's on a Sunday, doesn't matter if I'm playing hooky and playing golf with Rocket, or if we're outside. We built this thing so we can golf pretty much all year round outside though. And it's part of my workout regimen. So I'll go out, I'll put the Apple thing on my phone, tell it that I'm golfing, and I'll swing the shit out of a golf club for a half hour, 40 minutes, sometimes daily. But just, working out has become a part of my lifestyle today. I spend a lot of time in our gym. I built a home gym and I work from there. I play from there. I get creative from there. And that's a big part of my life today. So
I'm going to be honest with you. I appreciate you sharing that. And this is what I talk to my therapist about. Like
one more thing, walking outdoors.
Walking the dog helps me for sure.
Yes. Walking's a big one. Yeah. Go ahead. Keep saying.
No, I do not do a good job taking care of myself. I'm going to be the first. I will openly say that in front of the millions of viewers of your podcast. But I think it all the time. I always think like I'm going to write my journal every night. I'm going to email my children twice a week. I'm going to wake up and meditate 3 times a week. And I do almost zero of it because I wake up And as I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about Project MapIt, or I've actually had some really horrible dreams lately. And I wake, like last night. That's one of the reasons why I woke up at 1. I made a god awful sound in the middle of the night. I mean, I remember the dream. It was not a good dream. I was like drowning in shit water. It was weird, the weirdest thing ever. And I like made a horrible sound. And my dog, who sleeps in our bed, and my wife, like, were like, "Are you okay?" And I couldn't go back to sleep. I know right now I can be honest with you and tell you that I am not probably a very healthy person mentally. Like, and it's not like, but I'm not taking care of myself. When I go to the gym in the morning, that is a good sanctuary for me. It kind of sets my tone for my day.
Mhm.
I told Kim last night, I was like, I'm going to work. I haven't worked out in like a week. I'm going to go to the gym at 5:00. But then I woke up at 1:00 and I went straight to work at the computer. And then it was 5:00 and I just kept going. I don't know. I need to, I appreciate you sharing what you shared. I need to figure it out. So.
Yeah. And believe me, I'm not perfect at it, but I put it on my schedule, on my calendar, workout every day, 7 days a week. Do I work out 7 days a week? No, but no less than 4 days a week. Do I not work out, just because I know I need that.
Yeah.
And it might sound selfish, but if we're not eating, right? We're not eating, we can't feed others. We can't pour in, we can't be the best version of ourselves, right? If we're just stuck behind the computer nonstop, and this is the paradox.
I've
The
not
paradox,
eaten, by the way.
the paradox is that you'll probably be able, if you are taking care of yourself, you can do what you got to do in a shorter amount of time, because physically, mentally, spiritually, you just feel better and you find that flow, and your decision making is better. It's more decisive, more quicker, more sharper, at least for me. And and we are both at 2 different seasons of our lives right now too. You know what I mean? So I might have a little more of an advantage, but honestly, look, I wish I would have started this a decade ago. So if I can leave anybody with something, is to take enough time mentally, spiritually, physically, for yourself, right? Because if you're not, now we're just a martyr. Oh, I'm tired of work. I've been up since 1:00 and now I go home and my family gets the fumes. And again, I'm not, last night I caught myself. We went out, Jana and Rocket and I went out last night, and there was just something that was gnawing at me, and I had to make a phone call. I had to. And I did it. We were in the middle of the store, and I kind of just wandered off. Old Ty. I wandered because I pace. When I'm on the phone, I pace back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I knew I wouldn't be where my feet were, if I didn't make this phone call. I couldn't wait a half hour, 40 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I couldn't do it. I needed to walk away for 10 minutes or 15, whatever it was, and make this call and resolve something. It wasn't completely urgent, but it was a follow-up conversation from or an earlier conversation that I just needed to put to rest. Yeah. There was some uncertainty and somebody needed clarity from me.
Yeah.
And at that moment, and unfortunately, like I said, when I'm with my family is when I get the best clarity.
Yeah.
And I just needed to make the call. I did it, and I came right back, and I put my phone in my back pocket. And from that time on till we got home, I was not on the phone at all, period, because my family don't deserve the fumes, right? And they were going to get the fumes, the crumbs, if I didn't make that call. So sometimes there's a little sacrifice there that I had to make, that they made for me. But I bounced right back. I fucking shrugged it off, and it's like, okay, what are we doing? Where are we at? I had to go find them in the store.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. It's helped me a little bit. Maybe I'll try to get back into it. What other question you got? I'm curious. You never write questions.
Ooh, yeah, I know, right? Okay, so the clarity piece was there. Okay, so this gets back into anxiety. Oh. What do you think? What do you think gives you the most anxiety? And then how do you deal with it?
Man, that's a loaded question for me. I think I'm actually riddled with anxiety, and it's happened in my older years, to be honest with you. I'm 50 years old now, and I don't, people, if I tell any of my college friends or high school friends, like, yeah, I'm a really anxious person, they'd be like, bullshit, you are. Like, you are the life of the party. That's all you get. I could go real deep into my therapy on that. Anxiety. I don't like when people are not happy. I want, especially at work, I want the people at work to feel valued and stuff like that. And I know that sometimes I don't do a good job making them feel valued. I mean, I try. I think I'm pretty good, but I fail at times for sure. We're a small family. We just had a conversation today actually with my team. Like, yeah, we're like all like brothers and sisters. We all like get on each other's nerves. I mean, we're only like 6 strong. Anxious, anxiety. I'm a workaholic, and I get anxious when I feel like I'm not pulling my weight, right? Like if something is not right in the Project MapIt world, that makes me very anxious, right? Like trying to build out this training program. I've got about 400 more customers that I have, well, probably 300 now, 350 more customers. I got to put all the financials in our CRM. So the CRM is talking to me the right way. So I can get my KPIs to tell me revenue stream and commissions and all that stuff. And so it's not done. And it's like overwhelming. I don't have the time to do everything. And that makes me really anxious. I can't wait for a day where we have our systems locked in where I can just do my job and not stress over like the sales process or the onboarding process or the financials and the CRM up to speed and stuff like that. So I think the short answer is, I think the biggest thing is like when I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job as a leader, or I feel like the company is not succeeding as well as it could, that makes me very anxious. On the personal side of things, my wife is my rock. I'm going to be honest with you. She is, like, I know Jana is your rock, and she is amazing for you. My wife is able to recognize before anybody that hey, Steve, you're starting to get anxious or you're starting to get stressed. I can tell. I need you to stop. I need you to lock it in and come hang out with me and the kids. So anxiety with the children and my wife are not, I don't think I'm anxious there. It's all work related, to be honest with you, I think.
Yeah, same. It all stems from work. Like my family doesn't stress me whatsoever. You know what I mean? It's not, I may take it out on them.
Yeah.
At times. And that's getting back into, they just get the fumes of me. And it's, the thing that sucks about that is that we hurt those that are closest to us most. Right. And it has nothing to do with them 97% of the time. Right. But I find when I'm taking care of myself, I can accept more things. I'm more empathetic. I am more understanding too, and more patient with my family when I'm taking care of myself mentally, physically, and spiritually. And until you find that rhythm and those new habits that you want to develop, and maybe some of those old habits that you want to unspring, right? Because we tend to start and we think we're doing the right thing, right? By just working. And listening to you talk right now, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. That's just what you do. That's what we've all done. But my mom had said something to me right before she had passed. And she's, first and foremost, she said, life's too short, Ty. Of course, I mean, that is very profound, but not as deep as it was in that moment, right? Because she was dying of cancer. And then the second thing she said to me is that you need help.
Yeah.
You need to find some help. Now, I mentally and physically, I needed help. And I think I was 90 pounds, 80 pounds heavier than I am right now. Right. This goes back. So Jan and I went on a journey probably, I think this past February 11th was 10 years since she's passed. And kind of just, this year was a little easier than most years. I stayed over inundated with some other stuff, work stuff. But we went on a journey, and there's been ebbs and flows of me trying to take care of myself. I've gone up 20 pounds and I've came back down, but I've never gone back up to 209 pounds. And, but a lot of that was stress induced. I was just eating like shit, not eating at all. And then going home and gorging myself and all just the most horrible things. And it's like, to a point you start to realize after you step back for a minute, you realize how selfish and self-centered of me for not taking care of myself. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, I'm saying I'm doing all of this for my family. So literally I'm killing myself. I'm eating like shit. I'm smoking cigarettes. I'm drinking 5 cups of coffee a day. I'm drinking 12 Red Bulls. I'm doing all these things, right? So I can stay motivated for you. I'm doing this for you, but selfishly I'm killing myself so then I won't be here as long as I should be on this earth to spend as much time as I possibly can with you, because when you are on your deathbed, none of this horse shit is going to matter. What is going to be running through your mind is that I should have spent more time with my wife. I should have spent more time with my kids, right? That's what goes to your mind. I'm sure that's what went through my mom's head. She didn't tell me that, but I can only imagine when she said to me, she was already having those thoughts sitting in that Texas Roadhouse or whatever, Logan's or whatever up in Mechanicsburg there. I know for a fact her life was flashing before her eyes, and her regrets was life is too short and I needed help, right?
Yeah.
Where that came from was, as I would imagine, that she was regretting not spending enough time. Now, fortunately, she lived with us for the last 4 years of her life, and she got to spend as much time. She saw me sober. Jan and I were both sober, so it was the best years of our lives, right, with her. And I did have some guilt and regret, and I should have did more, blah, blah, blah. But looking back now, 10 years later, I don't have any regrets with her, with my mom. I was there when she needed me the most. And thank God for Jana, because Jana was really the one that was there for her 24/7. And I did need to take care of the household. And by the way that I did that is that I went to work. Right. And that was I needed to go through that pain and experience that pain to realize what was really important. And it wasn't always work. Most of that is me taking care of myself. Right. So I'm here as long as I possibly can be and get done as much as I can when I'm at work, in that allowed time that I'm giving myself on my calendar. By 4 o'clock, I have a reminder on my calendar. It says workout. That means I know that I need to be home by 5 o'clock. If I plan on attending a meeting at 7 o'clock, that I need to leave the office by 5 o'clock, get home, hugs and kisses, feed the dogs cookies, put my workout attire on, go downstairs, get a good hour and a half in, come upstairs, take a shower, and head to a meeting, right? Because that's what I need to do for myself mentally and spiritually, is that I have to find that balance of how many meetings a week that I need to go to, how many times I need to go to the gym. And this is a schedule that is literally on my calendar to take care of myself. It's a long day, because think about it this way. We have 16 hours in a day, 8 out of the 24 right? You got 8 hours to rest. You got 16 hours. And what are you going to do in those 16 hours? Right? To work and take care of yourself and be with your family, because you're going to have to go to bed at some point in time.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all of that. I know one commonality that we both have are amazing spouses, right? Like our guy Keith Overmeyer just said something on the chat, and I know his wife works with him and is an amazing wife to Keith as well. Keith is an amazing dude. Love you, Keith, by the way. Talk about another brother. Like, that guy's amazing. But I was thinking the same thing, Zach Fisher. 8 hours is wishful thinking, but I need to get back to that work life. I need to get back to the family balance. I really do. Man, I didn't think this was going to be a therapy session for me. I will say this about my anxiety. You know, we're a small work related. We're a small family, but I mean, talk about a ride or die. Like, those guys, those ladies and gentlemen that work at Project MapIt, they don't give me anxiety, really, because I know that they're doing their job the right way. I can trust them. I told him, before this call, I'm like, I've been up since 1. I'm exhausted. And Perla was like, yeah, you look tired. And I'm like, I am. And they said, look, you put in a full day. When the podcast is over, go get some rest so you can be with your family later. And I know that that's fine, because I know that I know Project MapIt's in good hands when I'm not around. I just went to Oaxaca, Mexico, with my wife and sister-in-law and brother-in-law, so that was fun. So we were there for 3 days. This weekend, I will say, Ty, we drive to Massanutten Ski Resort with my father. I meet my brother up there and his wife, and my father and mother-in-law. So that's going to be kind of cool. Maybe I won't bring my computer. I don't know if that's possible, but I just need to be intentional this weekend. So maybe I'll keep the computer home, you know?
There you go. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you can carve out some time that you can sneak off and flop open that way Monday morning's not so stressful. But so last question here before we get off. What gives you the most satisfaction?
Seeing my seeing my kids succeed and being around my wife. You know, I'm not a perfect man. I've made poor decisions, car accidents and stuff like that. So like for me, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, my wife, seeing her every night and talking to her is my everything. And seeing my kids be so successful and be good kids, like you mentioned, you got me fucking crying up in here, Ty. I'm like tearing up, dude. I hate you.
I'm sorry.
That's my that is my true satisfaction. That is my genuine satisfaction. Seeing Project MapIt start to take off, and hopefully, like literally, I think we're about to like exponentially grow. Like, you know, you keep every year you say it, you're like, oh, this is our year, and it fucking doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really feel like with great relationships with the big partnerships that we have, I feel very grateful to be a company that's, look, I don't care. I'll say it. We're like $1 million company right
Mm-hmm.
now. You know, I mean, hopefully at the end of the year, we'll be a $2 million company or whatever, but to have companies like Certainteed, I'll speak to personally because they are family to me. Like, I truly have great relationships with individuals in that company. They gave us a chance 5 years ago. Certainteed. I mean, we had 100 customers. So I'm very, very grateful and have huge love and satisfaction whenever I talk about that company. 100%. And then like SRS has been amazing to us. ABC has been amazing to us. And to just think like little old Project MapIt, like being asked to be a partner of some of these huge companies. And when they talk to you, they say it's because of your employees. You know, like, we love your employees. You are good people. And I give a huge, huge credit to Perla, Ashley, Pat, that present at SRS, ABC, Certainteed events and form those relationships. So I don't know, but satisfaction, if you're going to ask me straight up, it is my family.
Right on. And that's what makes you wealthy, and that's what makes you successful, is the relationship that you have with your family, and how you talk about your kids, and as smart as emotionally and as intelligent as they are, and the relationship that you have with your wife is what makes you one of the most successful people that I know, Stephen. I just want you to know that. And sometimes I think we forget why we even started to kill ourselves. Right. Yeah. And the whole point of it was to provide for our families. Right. And I'm not saying there's always a time and a place, dude. And if this is the year, right, that means head down and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. But somewhere in that 16 hours, and I'm saying that other 8 hours, when I say rest, that could simply be sitting on the couch with your wife watching a Netflix movie in that 8 hours, right? If you can break it out into 3 8 hours and divide that up and slice that up, however you need to slice that up, whether it's 4 hour increments, 2 hour increments, 1 hour increments, however you got to look at it. But if you can look at it that way, and how I rest and spend time with my family, and it could be golfing out in the net thingy that the simulator that Rocket and I built. Right. That's me resting, me working out. That's how I unwind and rest. Some people sit on their ass, smoke cigars, and get Cheeto dust in their fucking belly buttons. I just choose not to do that. That's not how I rest. You know what I mean? I rest differently than most people do, because I'm not a sit around kind of guy. Now I do chill. Don't get me wrong. But the one thing that I look forward to every single night, Jan and I have a slumber party every single night. We will chill in bed. You know what I mean? We'll get a snack, whatever it is. We'll turn a movie on. Sometimes it's the news for a couple minutes, but then we'll turn a movie on. And then we'll fall asleep. One of us will turn TV out and we go to sleep. But that's our intentional time. That's where I need to make sure that I'm there. Right. I got my workout in, and I'm an afternoon worker outer. If I worked out in the morning, I just don't. I've tried it. It seems like it takes more energy from me than it gives me. And I seem like when I work out in, the afternoon, early evening, it gives me more energy to put in second shift. You know what I mean? Because second shift is usually after I leave work. Now it's second shift. That means that I go to a meeting, I spend time with Rocket, I spend time with Jana, you know what I mean? Because I'm not getting to bed till at least 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I have a whole nother shift after I leave here. So I go home, I work out. It gives me that extra boost at the end of the day. Plus, that's kind of like I do intermittent fasting. So after I work out, then I eat.
Yeah. That's
So
good.
just kind of how I've designed it for now. And that's just the season that I'm in right now. But
I love it.
yeah, that's it, man. I miss you. I can't wait to see you up here next week. I did tell Brian Good. Brian Good actually had a question last week for you. He wants to know if we can get Project MapIt in our South Carolina location up to date or something like that. So I told him you would be here to help him with that, figure out how to he can do it, or you do it, or whoever does it.
I'll come up early, meet up with Brian Good, and we'll talk through it.
Cool. He's actually down in Bluffton this week.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be here Tuesday.
He will be.
He's coming back. Yeah. Yep. He'll be back.
We'll chat. I'll talk to Brian. We'll get you guys hooked up.
Cool. So I can't wait. I'm thrilled. I'm excited to see you. And thank you for being such a good friend, Stephen.
Thank you. Appreciate this therapy session, this hour-long therapy session. I'll send you the check, or do you guys take credit card when I get there on Tuesday?
Yeah, we take Venmo.
All right. I don't do Venmo. Sorry. Good luck. This session's free.
Shit. Always free for you, buddy. I love you.
All right, brother. Love you too, man. Thanks for having me.
Yep, you too. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you think you got something out of this, please share it with somebody that you may think may get something out of this. If you haven't liked, loved, subscribed, shared, please do that for us. Until next week, take care of each other, and thank you for always supporting Behind the ToolBelt. Thank you. Have a good day.